Facebook is a really good place to attract and get an audience. Your serving and selling content is not going to do as well on there. And that's really how you're going to make money in the long run. But if you're just in it to grow a community, you're going to get some diehard fans out of that will want to see your serving content and your selling content as well. So it will funnel a bit. But it really is just a place to entertain and build a community of people. So it's definitely worth a shot and worth your time. Welcome to Unplugged, the tech podcast for digital entrepreneurs. I am one of your hosts, Brooke, the founder of the Sober Biz Collective.
Hey, podcasters. My name's Nate Kelly, best-selling author and founder of Podcast Revolution Studios. If you're looking for tech, tools, and tips on how to utilize podcasting for your business, you're in the right spot. Let's get unplugged. Watts is our mascot, if you don't know. The cutest little plug you've ever seen in your life, in our logo, in most of the graphics that we use for the show. Brooke came up with the genius idea of sort of positioning our Q&As as Ask Watts and seeing if AI is getting it right and if, AI generated answers would kind of deliver similar answers to listener questions or common questions for podcasters and entrepreneurs. So that's what we're going to test out today. This is Ask Watts, Volume 1.
The number one questions everyone asks about podcasting is like which mic to buy. We've gone over our suggestions with that several times now in last episode, this episode a little bit. But I'd love to see what AI has to say about, does it actually recommend a microphone, or what are you going to get if you ask AI?
What's your go-to AI platform?
I use ChatGPT and Bing mostly. I think Bing is turned into Copilot.
Oh, interesting. Well, why don't you jump into Copilot and I'll jump into ChatGPT and see, we can kind of analyze both. So what's the best starter mic for podcaster?
All right.
What do you got over there?
Oh, okay. It says number 1, Rode Pod mic.
No way.
It does. It says, certainly, choosing the right microphone for podcasting is crucial to ensure excellent audio quality. There are some top recommendations for starter podcast microphones. Number 1, Rode Pod mic. Number 2, Blue Yeti. Number 3, JLab Talk. I've never heard that one.
Never heard of it.
You're looking for a USB-enabled microphone that performs similarly to a Blue Yeti, but even lower cost, consider the JLab Talk. It's budget-friendly. Let's check it out.
Anything that's compared to the Blue Yeti, I personally would probably pass by, but I don't know. It seems popular.
Huh. So the problem with the Blue Yeti and the Rode NT1A, which is the one that I started on, is they're way better for like music audio, like singing into that kind of stuff, because you're going to get a fuller sound from, it kind of picks up the whole room. But I think that's dynamic or directional.
That would be probably condenser.
Condenser, right?
Yeah.
So you're getting really good quality audio, but you're hearing the whole room. It's not focused on who's speaking, so it's not the greatest for podcasting.
Well, my ChatGPT gave me a list of 5. At number 1 is the Blue Yeti USB, so I'm already questioning this list. Number 2 is the Shure SM7B. Definitely not for beginners.
What?
So, yeah. Number 3, Rode NT USB. Number 4, Samsung Q2U. There we go.
There you go.
And the Elgato Wave 3.
Ooh, I love Elgato.
I know. I'm not sure that I knew they had good mics, though. I'm looking at it.
I don't know what the quality of their mics are, but they really are geared toward video game streamers. So they make a lot of equipment that is for that target audience.
Got
And
it.
I know they make a really high quality webcam that's been featured in some pretty big articles lately. They just came out with a new pro version that apparently is very, very good. If they ever sponsor us, I will try all of your equipment, Elgato. I
Yeah,
have your
let us
lights.
try
I love your
you
lights.
yes. Your boom arm, your
Oh,
low
the
profile.
boom.
I
How do you
can't.
even, how did I live without this?
I know. Yes. Oh, I wanted to ask you too about those acoustic panels on your wall.
Yeah.
Love
Turn
those.
it over. Here, they can see my whole husband's little
Yeah.
setup here. See, this is the great thing about using your iPhone as a
I
webcam.
know. But he's called it like a continuity camera. I don't know if
Yes.
that's like, is that like a thing? Like a known, is that a thing?
I'm not actually sure, but I do have a Mac and an iPhone, so they connect. I'm not sure if it works on PC, but maybe you can try that out someday.
Yeah.
Do you have
So
iPhone or you?
I have an iPhone. Yeah. It doesn't,
Yeah.
you have to download like a third
Oh, okay.
party webcam situation. So it's not as seamless. You definitely
Right.
can get around it and do it. Um, but it's, I think that's one of the biggest benefits or beauties of Apple products is kind of the seamless integration of all of their devices. Super nice.
Yes. Yeah, so the acoustic wall panel is actually grabbed off of Amazon. And I mean, I'm not going to make this giant room soundproof because my
Yeah.
kitchen is over here. This is an old dining room area. So we're not going to
Yeah.
soundproof. It's not going to be completely dead. But if you have a good microphone, it's going to make a big difference. And then also putting the panels on the wall and just having things around the room and on the walls stops the sound from bouncing off so you don't get as much echo and is definitely very helpful. I I did notice a difference after putting a couple packs of those up. And just
Yeah.
like I put a
Same
rug
with these
down.
ones.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I put a rug down too because it's tile floor and that made a big difference of just dampening the room a little bit.
Yeah. With whatever you have, dampen a little. I actually even have like like those, that's just a regular doorway that I put like a tension rod
Oh,
and
okay.
hung those just regular curtain drapes
Yeah.
to kind of seclude that a little more. Of course, the fabric helps. We've said in a prior episode, if you don't have a space, go in your closet.
Yeah.
Anything with sort of those soft materials will grab the sound and help dampen the room.
In one of my very first podcasting studio experiences, with my old business partner, we put up duvets on the wall, just like hung
Smart.
duvets up on the wall to
Yep.
help dampen the sound because we were in her basement. It was very echoey, and it worked. It worked for us. We
That'll
put up a
do it.
room divider with a duvet on it as well, just to like close in the room a little bit and just add some stuff in there so you're not just bouncing sound off the walls.
Right. And then pretty much bouncing it back into each other's microphones. So then
Yeah.
there's the issue in post as well. Yeah, you're going to save yourself some time and headache for sure treating the room prior to recording.
Hmm.
But AI, man, I don't know. I think that's a fail for this first microphone question. My list for sure, the only viable option is the Samsung Q2U.
I think the Rode Pod mic, because they have the USB now available,
Yeah,
is
right.
definitely something that a beginner could start with if they wanted to put a little more investment into it.
For sure.
Yeah. Do you have to like download drivers and stuff in order to make that connect with your computer? Or is it just plug and play?
It's plug and play. You
Yeah.
can download the Rode Connect software if you want to play with, equalizing or your bass, your treble, things like that. if you want to dive into it, but you don't have to. It's plug and play with their, factory or recommended settings.
Yeah, I'm not super impressed with the list. I do like with Copilot what they do is it kind of incorporates a search engine and AI at the same time. So it's looking for things that are current on the internet right now. It'll reference articles that you can look up that it's basing its recommendations on. So that's kind of
That's
nice.
nice. Yeah. I
Yeah.
like that.
But then you get to end up with like blog posts that are ads for microphones.
Exactly. Beginner tips for editing a podcast. Organize your files. That's huge. Keep your raw audio files always. I think, if you're recording and producing on a regular basis, highly recommend. It's actually probably necessary to have at least one external hard drive to store and organize your raw files and your edited files. Using a good editing software, yes, Audacity and GarageBand are both free and good for beginners. Brooke and I have already talked about our recommended editing softwares. It mentions Adobe Audition in here. I love a platform called Movavi, of course, CapCut. Edit for content and flow of conversation. Remove unnecessary pauses, awkward silences, repetitive content. Yes, yes. Master your volume levels. I think that's one thing that can be kind of daunting for new people is equalizing the sound and especially if it's a co-hosted show or if you're interviewing a guest. I think it's important to, especially if you're recording via Zoom or one of these online platforms, you always have the option to record a separate audio file for each attendee. And I think that's super important if you're utilizing it for a podcast. That will give you the option to turn up or turn down each person's level, which as a listener, there's nothing worse than spiking. Think about when you're watching TV and you're watching a cozy Lifetime movie and a commercial comes on and it's like 10 decibels higher than what you're watching and you've got to turn it down. It just makes the listening experience that much better. So definitely record a separate track for each attendee. Practice regularly to kind of improve your interview skills. Oh, it says to practice editing, like record a sample episode and practice editing it in different ways. So with the same raw footage, practice different editing styles or basically export like different versions of the show to kind of increase your editing skills. I think that's super smart.
That's a good list.
Yeah, that is a good list.
We can give that one to Watts.
Yeah. Ding, 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 ding.
So when you can't have two channels and everybody's on one channel and somebody's really quiet and everyone else is loud, it's one of the most annoying things on a podcast. And it's going to happen. Yeah. If when you're just getting started, sometimes, you're out and about. It's hard to like stop someone in the middle of a sentence and be like, can you put your microphone closer to your face? But fixing that in post is so annoying. So do your best to try and keep it at similar levels while you're recording. But if you don't and you use an auto equalizer, I do this in auditions sometimes, especially when I was doing a lot of in-person podcasts and people would be coming into the studio. Some people are just terrified of a microphone and they will have it like 8 feet from their face, and you cannot get them to keep it near their mouth. So the auto equalizer brings everything up to the same level. It's really awesome. You just like press a button and everybody's at the same level. The problem is it also brings your breathing and everything else up too. So if you're listening, I've heard a few podcasts where this has been the case. You're listening and all of a sudden you hear like
Yeah.
right? It's because of that auto equalizing. So you have to make sure you're also using like the de-essers and denoise, and those kind of things will help dampen those sounds as well, or just cut them out if you can, because
Right.
it is really annoying to have to sit through a podcast and after everyone talks, you're hearing, you know?
Oh shoot. That's so true. I mean, I run into it all the time when I'm editing.
Our editing tips from Copilot are: define the length of your podcast episode, which seems very useless as a tip. Create a compelling story through editing. We talked about that a little bit. And yes, that is a great tip, to create a compelling story through editing. Also kind of feels like a duh sort of thing.
Right.
Not very helpful for editing, but a
No.
nice unsolicited advice. Record multiple tracks if co-hosting and featuring guests. So we just talked about that. Recording everyone's audio separately so that you do have more control over the audio is a good tip. So you got 1 out of 5 there, Copilot. Prepare ahead of time. Thank you. That's helpful. Use
Okay.
templates or presets. I guess that can be helpful if you're just starting out, to have templates and presets. There's not a lot out there, and I think maybe that's something we can look at developing in terms
Yes.
of podcast presets, because I mean, it's still a new medium, relatively speaking, and yeah, there's not a ton out there in terms of presets, but there are some. There's a lot in terms of creating social media content from your podcast. There's a lot of presets and stuff out there now, and a lot of AI tools that can help you with that. But yeah, those are the Copilot suggestions.
Copilot's not impressing me so far.
No.
I, haven't made my final decision yet, but they've got some work to do for sure.
Yeah.
Let's do a question like entrepreneurial
Okay.
based, like new entrepreneurs, something.
Well, like, how can I turn podcasting into a business?
Love it.
Okay, so I'll start here this time. Turning podcasting into a business is an exciting venture. Here are some steps to help you get started. Niche and audience research. That's actually pretty good. We did talk about that a bit in the last episode as well. It really helps you find your audience quickly, you know?
I think finding your audience, but then using that to create your content based on, needs and wants and commonalities within that community or that demographic of people is super helpful as well.
Definitely. Tip number 2, create high quality content. Consistently produce engaging, informative, and entertaining episodes. Invest in good quality recording equipment, soundproofing, and editing software. So, collaborate with experts, influencers, and other podcasters. These are all things we've talked about on the show, and I love it. But one thing we do mention quite a bit is you can get stuck in this: I need to make this really, really good, look really good, sound really good. And it's more important to focus on creating the actual engaging, informing, entertaining content that you're creating, and getting practice at that, and then invest in the equipment and everything. But first and foremost, just getting comfortable in front of a microphone, in front of a camera, and working on your message. Huge, huge, huge. Monetization strategies: explore revenue streams like advertising, affiliate marketing, premium content, merchandise, crowdfunding, live shows and events. I really want to do live shows. I
I
think
do
they're so fun.
too. I do too.
And courses and workshops. I love this list.
Okay, there
Um,
a little bit of redemption there.
yeah.
Great list. I agree.
Build a strong brand. Nate Kelly, you are a big preacher of that.
I'm creature of branding. True, true.
Network and collaboration. Again, we talked a lot about that. Attend industry events and connect with other podcasters, collaborate and cross promote. Leverage your network to grow your audience and gain credibility. So we did talk about networking a little bit in our last episode as well, that came out today.
Yeah.
And how important that is, and how like podcasting events aren't really where you're going to go find your audience, but you are going to find community and people that are, going through the same things as you, people you can bounce ideas off of, collaborate with possibly, and what I found too, going to those events, is a lot of people that met us there ended up sending people that they thought would be great guests for us. And, you know, one of the podcasters, we're doing a podcast about basketball and ours was about like mental health, but there was people that they knew that were struggling that would be good guests. They sent it to us, like we still stayed connected and supported each other, even though we had nothing to do with each other's niches at all. Legal and financial considerations. Ooh. Register your podcast as a business or LLC. Understand tax obligations, licensing, and copyright issues. Okay, this is actually a big conversation that we should probably get into in like a full episode, because copyright is becoming a bigger problem, especially on platforms like TikTok and YouTube. And if you're going to be video podcasting and you're going to want to utilize YouTube, that's definitely a big conversation that we should talk about: where to get your music, where to get free music, where to make sure you have a proper license for your music. Yeah. And then it says consult legal and financial professionals if needed. Always a good idea. Always a big investment.
Yeah. Just keep someone on retainer if you're questioning any content or any use of third-party content. I know for Anchor or for Spotify, for podcasters, I think for Apple Connect too, when you upload your episode, it's very specific about whether or not it contains any third-party content. So songs, clips of other shows, video, basically anything created, by somebody else that could run into a copyright issue.
So what did ChatGPT have to say about editing?
It's so funny. They're definitely pulling from the same whatever.
Okay.
The opening sentence is even turning podcasting into a business is an exciting venture, which was exactly what you said. And then number 1, define your niche and audience, build a strong brand, live events and workshops, affiliate marketing, build a community, network and collaborations. So they definitely pooled their resources on this question for sure.
Stay tuned for our new podcasting course on how to turn your podcast into a business.
Yes. Complete with AI generated answers.
Somewhere I see people really getting stuck. Like they're creating all this content, but they're using music from like Eminem or artists, so they can't monetize their content. And I'm running into that now. I don't know if we have time to get into it, but Facebook, I was listening to Gary Vee. He's a huge social media guru kind of guy, and he does not stop. He keeps going, running, trying to find out what's new and how to grow, and shares all his information. I love following him. He talked about Facebook being the number one place to grow right now because a lot of creators have left that platform, so you don't have a ton of competition anymore. And people are still there. There's still a ton of people, like 1 billion people on that platform. So creating like engaging and funny content to use on Facebook is, for me, has been I got over 3 million views in the last 28 days.
I mean, can we talk about it? What the hell? What have been your like top handful of videos?
So everything that's going viral is all like funny videos I made 2 years ago on TikTok. I just like re-downloaded them without the watermark and then uploaded them onto a new Facebook account. And those are the ones that are blowing up more than anything. One thing, I went through Facebook's creator program to learn how to properly use Facebook to monetize and all that kind of stuff. And one thing they really don't want is you to be selling anything on their platform, because if you're going to be selling something, they want you to pay for ad space, right? So if you have the like, check out the link in my bio, I do this, blah, 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 and you're there to like promote something, your content's going to be suppressed. But even if you're just showcasing your own podcast, unfortunately, a couple of times might have been flagged like, oh, this might have third-party content in it. So they don't love that either, which sucks. But if you want to make like engaging, entertaining content, just relatable to your audience, and it's a great way to grow. And then we talked about before, like doing the attract, serve, and sell. So Facebook is a really good place to attract and get an audience. Your serving and selling content is not going to do as well on there, and that's really how you're going to make money in the long run. But if you're just in it to grow a community and you're going to get some diehard fans out of that will want to see your serving content and your selling content as well. So it will funnel a bit. But it really is just a place to entertain and build a community of people. And I've been having huge success on there, like more than any other platform right now. So it's definitely worth a shot and worth your time.
I love that. So how many followers did you get from 3 million eyeballs?
I grew 3,000 followers in like 3 days.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was crazy. The notifications have slowed down now. I think I'm at 3.1, but I was growing like 100 followers every few minutes for a while.
Wow.
Like, what is happening? And now they invited me to their Reels monetization. I got invited to that program. So it is invite only. You can't like apply for it or anything, but it wasn't that hard. Like I think they probably invite, if you're putting out content, you probably get an invite. I think you have to hit 1,000 followers first. And then now when I have Reels that don't have any audio in them and it's just me talking and doesn't have any third-party content, those can be monetized. So there'll be a little ad at the bottom and I can actually make money off that, which is really cool.
Nice. Mm-hmm. So if you have music or like other things, they won't monetize that?
No.
Interesting.
I know.
Good to know.
So it's time musicians that are willing to license their music and have copyright-free music, I think are going to do really, really well in the next little while, because podcasters and YouTubers and content creators really need original music. So if you are a musician out there, there's a niche, there's a need, and you can fill it. We should look into that. Maybe we can do a whole music episode and talk about like some ways to get
alternatives to right.
I mean, number one, pay an artist if you can, but if you can't,
small business, like shop small business first, but
if you can't, Temu is there.
Thanks so much for hanging out today. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube for all of our video content at Unplugged Tech Pod.
And join us in our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Unplugged Podcast. Also, make sure to throw us a 5-star review if you are finding this content valuable for you and your digital business. We accept all forms of reviews: Apple Podcasts, Spotify follows, YouTube, telling your grandmother about us.
And make sure to share the episode with one person in your life who may find it valuable. And we'll see you next time on Unplugged. I think it's good enough, and we're just going to keep getting better.